All right. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. My name is Laura Gonzalez, and I am a member of Operation Smile's storytelling team. We're so excited to introduce the panelists we have here today. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague and co-moderator, John Strait. Oh, I think you're muted, John.
Classic kickoff to a webinar.
Classic.
I'm John Strait, our managing editor and writer, and I work really closely with Laura on all of the stories that we present in the COVID-19 Conversation series. And we're just super excited to be with our panelists today, who represent such a diverse group of people that are out there on the front lines. So thank you guys for joining. So throughout the webinar, I'll be moderating the questions and the chat area. So if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask our panel, we'll have 15 minutes at the end of our conversation where we can address those questions directly to them, so we can engage in that. So enter those directly into the question bar, and feel free to use the chat function as well. If there's anything I can answer, I'll be providing those answers to you in real time. And yeah, just looking forward to the conversation today. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. So all of these panelists are Operation Smile volunteers, and they are currently serving on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. So first up, we have Doreenlove Serwah from Ghana. She joined Operation Smile Ghana's medical volunteer team as a post-anesthesia care unit nurse in 2016. In addition to becoming an instructor for our American Heart Association life support trainings, she also became a clinical coordinator, the head nurse in charge of leading the clinical aspect of our medical missions. In 2018, she was a member of Operation Smile Ghana's first locally conducted medical mission, and today she is the lead nurse of the pediatric emergency unit at her hospital. Next, we have Victoria Leal from Florida in the United States. She was born first in Colombia and then moved to the US shortly after graduating from nursing school, and she also became an Operation Smile volunteer back in 2011. Since then, she has donated her time, passion, and skill as a pre- and post-operative nurse on 24 of our medical missions around the world. Currently, Victoria is serving in an intensive care unit, providing direct care to patients afflicted by COVID-19. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Rodney Kapunan, who's also from Florida in the United States. Rodney is an emergency room nurse originally from the Philippines, currently working in Florida as well. He volunteered on 16 medical missions with Operation Smile, serving as an operating room nurse, pre- and post-operative nurse, and most recently as a quality assurance nurse. His wife is also a volunteer for Operation Smile, and the pair bring years of nursing experience to our global family. Rodney, Doreenlove, Victoria, thank you all so much for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Of course. We're going to hop right into questions if that's okay with you guys. So this first one's for you, Rodney. What does a typical day at work look like during this pandemic, and what's the environment like in the emergency room at your hospital?
I just want to make sure that everyone, the virus is still with us, and we still don't have any vaccine or treatment for it. I'm sorry. So we're still on heightened alert. We don't want as our environment opens up and there's more chances of an outbreak. So we're still doing a lot of personal protection for the patient. We're still limiting our visitors, and we're still trying to isolate a patient that is high probability for COVID patient to those patients that has no probability. So we're trying to not only take care of that patient, but also take care of the public as well, so that this thing will not come back again.
Yeah, that is so important. And Doreenlove, could you speak a little bit about how COVID-19 has affected Ghana?
Okay, like all other countries that have COVID-19 has affected so many areas. In Ghana, we already had a stretched healthcare system. So with this COVID-19, it has stretched it more. Now, most of our doctors and nurses who used to work in other areas have been taken to the treatment areas. So they are working there. And then also patients who have other illnesses are not really getting the needed care because either they are staying at home or they are even afraid to come to the hospitals. Socially, I think there's something that everybody knows about Ghana, that Ghanaians are we are touchy people. We hug people, we meet in social settings and all that. Now with this social distancing, it's very, very difficult for us. Sometimes you forget that you have to keep your distance from one another. You see somebody and the first instinct is to hug the person or touch the person. So that's one of the ways in which it's affected us. We no longer do the things that we used to, like Ghanaians are very big on funerals, naming ceremonies, and other, like even like weekends, extended families come together and all that. But now we don't do it. And even religiously, churches are banned. So churches and other religious activities are banned. So we are in Ramadan. Muslims are not able to meet to pray together. No church activities. This Easter, you would have had a whole lot of Easter conventions and all that, but because of COVID-19, we are not able to hold it. Economically, I think most businesses have come down because borders are closed, so you cannot import and you cannot export. And also, even let's take like normal farming. People are not going to farm, so it's even difficult to get foodstuffs. Items have either become very scarce or they become very, very expensive. And also, yeah, so most people have lost their job. And then when it comes to limitations, I think the limitations runs through all the countries. Shortage of PPEs, it's everywhere. But thankfully, our government is making efforts to resolve that. And then we had a few treatment centers when this COVID started. We had a few treatment centers, but as of now, they have it for, at least for the cases that we have now, we have enough treatment centers to take care of the patients that we have.
Yeah, we've experienced a lot of the same things that you're mentioning here in the United States. Victoria, do you remember from the day that everything changed in your hospital? Could you speak a little bit about what that was like and what you experienced?
Yeah, I think that it's not just for me that was a big changes in my unit. I think that was in my personal life that was a big change. And in all the American people was a big change to start. And I think that I never going to forget when that happened. That was just March 12th, Friday. That was my overtime. I was normally doing 4 nights in a row, and that was my 4th night. When I get to work, I saw the people like moving around too fast, like chaotic environment, like ACPs, nurses, secretary, just moving around, try to do assignment, move the patient. And before they gave us an assignment, we do the huddle, and in the huddle, I remember the secretary went to the huddle rooms and started to clean like a frenetic way, very fast, everything with COVID wipes, and start to give some piece of information and said, hey, you guys need to use N95. I think that we're gonna have a COVID patient. I have some scrub for you. You need to just use the scrub now because I think that we're gonna have some admission tonight. And everyone was like surprised, look at one another and says, what is she talking about? We never hear nothing about COVID in US. We hear news about the virus, coronavirus in China. We never thought that we're gonna be with us or touch or be among us ever. We have no clue, no idea what's going to happen. Then at that night, yes, one admission came, old guy, came with shortness of breath, very weak, with temperature, was admitted in negative room. We have two negative pressure rooms in my unit. Was admitted early. That was assigned on just one nurse, and the assignment just that nurse for the possible COVID patient that we're going to admit that night. Everybody was start to feel like very anxious, like now I think that is real. It's real. The virus is here. Yeah, they're gonna touch us, right? Then that night, past midnight, we admit the second patient, old lady also. Both patients were with very high risk and medical history, very important medical history, but the signs and symptoms are completely the same. Both patients, lab work was very similar, CTOT change was very similar. At that point, when they test the patient, the test lasts like 5 or 7 days. We can wait. We need to start to treat the patient like COVID, even though we don't have any results. But thanks God, the daughter of the first patient told us that her father was in contact with somebody who was positive and was in the other hospital. That was very helpful for us because we just know how we're gonna be with this patient, how we're gonna treat the patient, how we're gonna take care of ourselves. That just happened that night. Then I came back 2 days later and was completely different, completely different. We start with 2 patients, and when I came back, my unit was ICU COVID patient. ICU COVID unit, completely. From 2 patients, we went to 20. 20 that was or ruled out COVID, or was COVID positive, or was the symptomatology was exactly all the patients were the same. Very high oxygen demand. They start deteriorate too fast. Patient very weak with fever, chills. All the lab work, CT of the chest are very similar. My unit was completely sealed. They close and isolate the unit. Then when we get there, he said, "What is that? Where are our patients? We normally used to have PCU patients. Now everybody was almost ICU patient with high oxygen demand, cannulas, high flow oxygen, and all the alarm with low oxygen saturation was around the corridors. Then when we get there, was in the 8th floor is my unit, is completely isolated, was completely sealed. Whoever go inside can go outside anymore. Then they gave us some poppers, some special respirators that we use it to protect ourselves. Then we look like a movie, like when you are with astronauts. We just walk through the corridor, everybody with these poppers, secretary, PCTs, nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists, just checking all our patients. Most of our patients was finally banded, was completely changed for our life and for American life. That day was when we started the pandemic. Yes, it was very rough. 3 weeks, very terrible. Yeah,
I can only imagine. And I mean, Rodney, so Victoria speaks about kind of the stress that our health practitioners are feeling. And I'm sure with the long hours you're working and compounded with the potential risk of exposure to the virus, that those things are weighing heavy on your mind. How are you kind of coping with that?
Yeah, I am keeping myself informed. I mean, this is an ongoing thing. We're learning more about this, and the more you inform, the more you're able to handle it better. And also, me and the family are keeping being positive regarding this. We're finding a way to adjust to the new world because, as I've said, this is not going away anytime soon. So we just need to learn how to adjust and make the most of it. And of course, we're still doing our due diligence at work, and we're still doing our due diligence at home. We're still keeping our social distancing, hand washing. We're trying to wear masks every time we, just to better protect ourselves.
Right. And how about you, Doreenlove? How are you holding up and kind of keeping sane during these times when so much is happening and you're putting yourself at risk every day?
Yeah, I think Rodney said it all. Like for me, I've had to take my kids to my mom just so that I don't maybe any potential infections that I have don't get to them. It's really not been easy. So in addition to what Rodney said, I'll just add that my spiritual life has really it's been very high within this period. I think I've seen myself pray more than initially. I've become more prayerful because when I pray, I feel a sense of like satisfaction. I feel okay. I feel better. Yeah. So increased spiritual life in addition to what Rodney said.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And so in the US, a lot of states are starting to ease some of their restrictions. And Rodney and Victoria, as nurses on the front lines, what are your feelings about local governments in the US kind of starting to lift these orders? Do you think our health systems are prepared?
Actually, I think that they gave a time with the stay-at-home order to be prepared what we maybe we're going to expect later. Yes, I think that we are prepared.
And how about you, Rodney?
I feel like we should open up. I mean, I feel like there's the hospital are more equipped to deal with this. We're getting smarter on how to manage this, and we are getting smarter as well in distributing resources in case of any outbreaks. Also, I feel like there's more equipment out there for us to protect ourselves. There's more respirators, and we also instituted some processes in our hospital that we can help out other hospitals just in case they have an outbreak. So I think our government and our society is should open up, and if ever this thing happens again, I'm pretty sure we're ready for it, and we'll manage it.
The inspirational message to hear from you guys. Doreenlove, so you're a longtime volunteer with our organization, and you filled many different roles, and you help beyond just your skills in nursing. Is there anything that you've learned from your experience in volunteerism with Operation Smile that you've been able to apply in your response to this pandemic?
Oh yes, I've learned so much from being a volunteer. The first is teamwork. You know, like on missions, you work with different teams, multidisciplinary. You're working with doctors, you're working with nurses, even from different countries, even if it's in Ghana, different parts of Ghana. So you have to learn how to work in a team. And then also effective communication. You have to learn how to communicate effectively so that your team members understand what you are saying. And then, you know, on missions, anything can happen. So you have to think on your feet. So it has sharpened my critical thinking abilities. And then I think the one thing that has also really like helped me is how to manage resources. As a CC, sometimes you go on mission. I mean, anything can happen on a mission. I remember went to Ethiopia last 2019 February. There was no our cargo didn't arrive. We had old cargo there, and I mean, mission had to go on. They had flew all of us in country, and there was no cargo. But I was able to manage the resources that we had, and then we had a very good mission. So in relating that to COVID-19 pandemic, we know that there is shortage of PPEs and all that. So being a CC and being even a volunteer, as has made me learn those things. So even at work now, when when I see that PPEs there's a shortage of PPEs, I know how to ration. Probably sometimes instead of, usually we do a 3 hour we do 3 shifts, 6 to 2, 6 to 4, 2 to 8, and then 8 to 8. Okay, so when you realize that probably there's PPEs are getting low, instead of doing 3 shifts, you just do 2 shifts, so that you just have the same people wearing PPEs throughout. You don't use more. So that's one of the things that being a volunteer has helped me with in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you for that. So Victoria, before COVID-19 came into existence, the World Health Organization actually declared 2020, this year, the year of the nurse and midwife. Now, because of this pandemic, that's all the more appropriate. But citizens around the world are seeing how essential the services you as a nurse provide in your community and really to our society as a whole. How does it feel to be recognized as a health hero? And what do these displays of appreciation and recognition mean to you?
I really feel very emotional. I'm very happy. I'm very thankful, but at the same time, I feel with more compromise. I need, that gave me more, that made me work better, you know. But sometimes I say, but I'm not a hero, you know. I'm just doing the job that I really like to do, that I love to do, and I do it with more compassion and more love. Yeah, because in this pandemic, the pandemic teach us that those people start to be alone, with no visitor, nobody gonna be next to them. We are a bedside nurses, face to face with some enemy that we don't know how to treat it. Then I feel very appreciated that other people recognize that how we be in risk to get some infection, right? Then I think the hero is whoever just saved the princess to the castle that is in fire. I'm not a hero, but I really do what I like to do. Yeah, and I can see how can change the other people's life, and I can help the other people be alive also. And I feel very grateful for that, and I feel very compromised. It's more, that give me more than give me, I want to work better than I'm doing now, with more compassion and more love.
Mm-hmm. You can say you're not a hero, but I think the three of you are all very much heroic and in putting yourself in the line. You know, it's a dangerous job, and we're so happy to have you guys doing it. Kind of to that same point, Victoria spoke about her compassion as one of the things that motivates her. Rodney, could you talk about what's motivating you to keep pushing through and going to work every day during this difficult time?
Believe it or not, I still enjoying my work. I love taking care of patients. I still love being a good resource person to my community. I'm still enjoying learning new things. I mean, COVID-19 came really fast and hard on us, and we need to learn a lot of new things during this pandemic. But I feel like we're winning, and I'm still enjoying this. I still have a lot of love and care to give to my patient. That's why I'm still doing it.
And how about you, Doreenlove? What keeps you motivated, and why do you choose to, you know, be that first point of contact for the patients that come in?
I'm a nurse. That's all I know how to. I saw an oath, and I have a duty of care to my patients. And just like if it was war, okay, if it were war, I would expect the military or the soldiers to go. This is my war. So if I don't go, who will go? You understand? And then, yes, and society is also looking up to us, me as a nurse, to be at the forefront. So that's what motivates me. And then also my training and experiences has really prepared me. So every day I go to work, I feel I'm giving out my best. And then this whole COVID-19 pandemic is something new. So there is always more to learn. And the more you learn, the more experienced you become. So I think it's adding up to all the experiences that I am getting as a nurse.
Yeah.
You guys are truly inspirational. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add before we open the floor to audience questions?
Yeah. I just remind everybody that the virus exists, that the virus is true, that the contagious is true, that we have to take care of each other, that we have to help and support the all heroes and first life responders. We have to pray, and one day we're gonna just get a vaccine or medication or something that we can treat our patient. And just pray for us, that encourage us to continue to do our job. That made us with more commitment to do our job and take care of our patient. Yeah.
And also to add to that, I know this is a stressful time for everyone, and we need to be more tolerant with each other. Everyone's not having any job, everyone's sick, a lot of them are sick. So stay positive, we're getting better, we're managing better, and there will be good times ahead of us. And we just need to learn to adjust to the new world out there.
And I also add that we as health workers, as we are taking care of our patients, we should, even though like there's potential risk to ourselves, we should give out our best. And then we shouldn't forget to stay hydrated, eat well, and then when we are off duty, we should partake in relaxation activities, and then we should take care of our mental health, because there's so much stress going around. If you need somebody to talk. Don't just keep everything bottled up, because if we are okay, if we are healthy, that is the only way we can also take care of our patients. So that's my little advice to all health workers. Let's take care of ourselves so that we can take care of our patients.
That's beautiful, Doreen. Love it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's such important advice, because you won't be there to take care of everyone else if you're not taking care of yourselves first. Thank you so much for answering those questions. We have a few more for you. I'm going to kick it off to my colleague, John. There have been a lot of cool input, so I'm excited to see what you guys have to say.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, super excited to enter the question and answer portion of this. And just thank you guys for sharing all of those insights with us. Really beautifully said, and just appreciate you guys taking the time. And I'll double down on the idea that you are truly heroes too. So
Thank you.
Okay, let's get into it. Victoria, I think this is a good one for you. You know, in your deep experience on the intensive care unit, what was your, this is coming from Abraham, what was your first immediate fear when you were joining the COVID-19 team and saw your first patient face to face?
It was awful. Was feel like panic. I think that the nurses who do bedside care is who really feel how we feel in front of the patient is with. I was afraid. I was made more conscious every movement than I do in the patient room. So I start to put on my PPE and check every single thing, like my N95, my surgical mask, my goggles, my face shield, my surgical cap, my cover shoes, and my gown. And I saw myself in the window before I go into the patient room. I put everything together and I make every single movement more conscious, because I feel that I have in more risk to get the infection. I have 3 patients to take care or 2 patients to take care. Everybody's positive, and we don't have treatment, we don't have vaccine, we don't have nothing. Then and feel very anxious and feel panic. I was terrified. I was really terrified. Yes, it's scary because you are face to face with somebody who have a virus that we don't know how to treat it. Yes.
Thank you. And kind of the tail end of that question, another one from Abraham. He's asking, what was the moment like when your first patient recovered from the condition?
Wow. Actually, one that was the first admission. This patient was in a bed almost for 2 weeks. We were thinking that maybe she couldn't make it because she had very long medical history, like COPD, and patient with COPD is so difficult to extubate. We can't take any patient with COVID. We cannot. Then we waiting and waiting, and we tried to win off from the band. And almost like 3 weeks after that, the lady make it, and the lady went home. Yes, that was one. And we have other that was a miracle. Yesterday, exactly yesterday, last night, the guy went to the hospital and say hello to us and give us some food for dinner because they are very appreciate how we do for him. He was one of the survivors also after almost 3 weeks of bed. It's very emotional and it's very satisfying that we really did something that made the patient alive. Yes.
Thank you.
But some other
Great
sisters
work, Victoria.
so, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I think I have a question here for everybody. So if we could go around and each of you can provide this answer for me. And we'll start with Rodney. This comes from Anushka, who is one of our wonderful student volunteers from New Jersey. He asked, or she, I'm sorry, I'm not sure, they ask, after work every day, did you have to quarantine yourself from any family members and did you have to stay at work? Rodney?
Not quarantine myself. I go to work wearing ordinary clothes, and we put on hospital clothes when we get to the hospital. And then when we finish our work, we return the hospital a uniform, and we go back to our normal clothes. So also, me and my wife instituted some things that would help us not bring this virus home, because research says that the shoes is the big culprit in spreading the virus. So we actually have, like, I have a shoes that just stays in the car. I have a COVID car, and that what we use just for going to the hospital. And we're very diligent with our hand washing, and we make sure that we shower when we get home before our dogs and our kids before we come in contact with our dogs and kids. But those are the things that we do just to prevent us from spreading this disease. Also, I'm trying to keep myself healthy, not rest, because this is a virus. I mean, your body can fight this if your body is healthy. So you just eat properly, keep yourself positive, and keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, definitely. And Doreenlove, how has this experience been for you with your family in terms of quarantine and having to stay apart?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this earlier that so my husband is also a healthcare worker. So both of us going to work and all that, we never know what we are bringing home. And my mom is over 60, so we sent our kids. I have a 3-year-old and then a 1.5-year-old. So both kids are under 4 years. So I sent them to live with my mom so that I can limit my exposure to them. Also, I do basically what Rodney said. Shoes that you take to work, when you get home, you keep them in the car. You don't bring them. But of course, before you keep them, you put them in the car. You have to decontaminate and all that. Wash your hands. The first thing you do when you get home is to take a shower And then even from friends and family, apart from like my kids, I try as much as possible to distance myself from them. That is my own isolation method, because I never know what I'm bringing home. So even though like in Ghana we are not really doing like we don't have restricted movements, I try not to mingle so much with other friends, just because I don't know what potential infections I'm carrying. So that is it. That's what I do.
Victoria, same question.
Yeah, as Ronnie, we use the scrub at home and in my job. We never use the regular uniform. Then we just be careful every time that we left the patient room. We wash our hands 25 seconds durante like 3 or 5 minutes. And we remove all the clothes over there, and I live in the hospital, and I take a shower before I come home. When I get home, I get in the garage, I left everything there, my uniform, my shoes, everything, and go directly to the shower again. Yeah, and we take care with the mask and social distance with the other people. We try don't go with any meeting or any party, or no, just we try just to be isolated, because the virus, you don't know where we can get the virus or when you can bring the virus from work. Yeah.
I mean, these are tremendous sacrifices that you guys have to make, and we just really appreciate everything you do. I know everyone's had to make sacrifices in some shape or form, but day in and day out, it's just incredible, and we thank you for that. And we're getting some really heartfelt message of thanks coming through our Q&A board right now. Before I kick it into Pat's question, Pat Carter, I want to share that message of thanks with all of you before we get to a very good question coming from her. She says, "My prayers are with you and your families continuously. Thank you for loving mankind and being completely and totally devoted to your calling as servants to the world. Again, thank you, and God bless you and protect you during this time of uncertainty and fear." Just thought that was really beautiful. And thank you, Pat. But Pat also asks, how is the pandemic affecting the work being done for patients needing surgery? Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
Okay, so for my hospital, or well, in my country, when our cases started rising, we stopped all elective surgeries. All elective surgeries were stopped, yeah. And then we're just doing emergencies. But now I think most hospitals are opening up and surgeries are being done. But we are being more careful. We are adhering to all precautionary measures. So surgeries have been open, but not as before, not so much as before. Probably with time it will get to pre-COVID-19 stage, but now it's just like we are just seeing how it goes, so just little by little. But it's better than maybe like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
How about in the US, Rodney or Victoria? How is this affecting the surgical landscape?
My wife being an OR nurse, actually the same thing happened. They stopped all non-emergent surgeries. So OR nurses are redeployed to other areas of the hospital, like they were doing screening because there's no elective surgeries. So, but it's opening up now slowly. They're not rushing it in Florida, and they're starting to do some elective surgeries. But during the height of this, all routine surgeries were canceled.
Yeah, actually we have now protocols and procedures in place, and all whoever go to elective surgery, they're gonna do the test. They're gonna test for COVID, and they take all the measure that all the precautions that we normally have to do it. But they already started slow. Yeah, they're going to start slow to see how it's going now.
Awesome. And Victoria, I have a kind of a two-part question coming from two different folks. So we have Marcella and Pat. We'll first ask, how many cases of COVID-19 have you seen in your unit that are children? And then is there like a balanced mixture of men or women, or is there more from one gender or the other?
Actually, we receive just adult people. We don't have a pediatric in the unit that I'm working. Then it's just my unit is just 22 beds, but they were open 2 more units when we have in a peak. That was the 2 first weeks. What we can see is the affect more the male than female. We have more male than female. And also that we can notice also was that the obese people is more affected than the regular normal weight people. Yeah. But sometimes we have weird cases when the patient have like 95 years old with too many comorbidities and they don't have any symptoms. But we have also 53 years old male with no medical history that couldn't make it. Then we don't really know what is the parent of this. But we saw more male than female. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that will conclude our question and answer portion. If there's a question that you asked that wasn't able to be answered, we'll be sure to direct that question to one of our panelists and get you the insight that you need, and we'll follow up via email. So yeah, Laura.
Thank you so much, John. And again, thank you so much to the three of you. I know you're so busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with our audiences and to share your expertise, but to also share your compassion. I think the comment that John read aloud perfectly summarizes it. You guys truly are servants to mankind, and we really appreciate everything you're doing and the contributions you're making to your communities. And thanks to all the attendees who joined during this webinar. We'll be sending out a recording of this in the next couple days, so feel free to share that with any friends. And if you'd like to sign up for future COVID conversations, then you can subscribe to our email list and we'll share information about that. Folks, Doreenlove, Victoria, Rodney, thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.